And I'm going to tell you why. Because today is episode 30 of Confidence Culture Conversations. Woo!
30, yes. Wonderful 30.
Whereby we made it to our thriving 30s.
Yeah, it has been a journey.
It has. But you know what? It's been interesting. It's been exciting. We're learning along the way. And that's always good. That's always fun. So yeah, I am grateful. But wow, last week we talked about reflection. So before we start today, let's kind of reflect a little bit on these 30 episodes. Well, today's going to be the 30th episode, but I guess what's been some of your highlights, Kiribai?
My highlights has been learning to collaborate with you, which is it has been a good journey,
Mm-hmm.
and able to sync and work with work with each other, and it's been good. It's we cannot be alone, we can't work alone, so working collaboratively. And this time and season, it is all having collaborative partners, and it has been wonderful. It has been really wonderful to sorry, there was a call coming in, I have to mute it, sorry. So it has been wonderful, and then learning about different facets of confidence, and how
Mm-hmm.
it all works together, and how it kind of pieces into each other. That's been a that's been very exciting, actually. For me personally, it's been an eye opener.
Yep.
And of course, working with people in our workshop. Ooh, that was something that, after working so long
Mm-hmm.
on Zoom and all the social on the other platforms on the computer, it was really nice to be with people face to face, and listening and learning from one another, and listening from
Absolutely.
different journeys. So
Mm-hmm.
that has been something of a great highlight, and touching lives and people in Malaysia, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
So that has been very good. That has been really very exciting for me.
Wow. It's interesting because obviously, as we started off in conversations, having these live conversations, and
Yes,
then
that's
that turned into Zoom, monthly Zoom meetings with some amazing ladies in Malaysia.
right. Hmm.
And then that turned into a live confidence culture workshop, like you just mentioned. So yeah, it's been amazing to see how it has, I want to say transpired, if that's the right word, but it's amazing to see how
Transcended.
it has grown. Yeah, and how many people have just watched, whether it's one episode or how many people have been, frequent watchers. It's just interesting to see. So I'm glad that we didn't give up after episode one.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we kept going, and yeah, we can reap the benefits of consistency.
Hmm.
So maybe one of these days we'll do an episode on consistency.
Yes, we should.
Because when we are consistent in doing things, it can help us to get more confident in those things.
True.
So consistency helps our confidence,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, that's just some reflection on the fact that we are now at episode 30. So thank you very much for those of us that have joined. Like, any episode that you've ever joined of Confidence Culture Conversations, thank you for being part of it. And if you are watching this, whether it's a replay or you're watching it right now and you're joining us live, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear what have been some of your highlights through the 30 different episodes that we have done. And if this is the first time you are joining us, you can catch all 30 episodes on our YouTube pages or even Facebook. Um, yeah, we this is streamed to 6 different places. So mine and Kirubai's Facebook pages, YouTube pages, and our Facebook business pages. So yeah, there's loads of places you can find it. So thank you very much for joining and being a part of what is going on and for engaging in the conversation. We are truly grateful. It's an honor to have you joining us every time. So our episode today is on self-care. What is that all about? What is self-care? I will say the clue is in the word, right? But I'm going to hand over to Coach K to kind of break it down a little bit and just ease us into the conversation. So over to you, Coach K.
Self-care has been the buzzword these recent days. And when I heard about self-care, I didn't realize what is this self-care all about. And I thought maybe taking care of your personal hygiene or having your nails done or wearing some lipstick, getting your bonnet done. But it is just more than that. Self-care, self-love is actually loving yourself and respecting yourself without asking someone asking permission from someone, because it is your love that you hold for yourself that will come out to love someone else. So if you do not love yourself, how can you love someone else? So it has to start from you, from within you, and that from that insights flowing out to love, to respect, and to support and cherish someone else. So it has to start from you. You are
Absolutely.
the pivoted person who needs and who will have to love yourself. Isn't that? I think I broke it down quite well, Elizabeth, because loving yourself and
There
loving
you
yourself is important to, is part of our confidence that we carry.
go.
So I know, Elizabeth, you do a lot of training and lots of workshops on self-care and self-love. So what is your take on it, Elizabeth?
Wow, wow, wow. Um, so like I said before, for me, the clue is in the word. The clue is in the word. So I love this conversation of self-care because I remember the first time I started doing anything to do with self-care. You think about self-care and you're like, this is very much about me.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think self-care is selfish
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about you. But do you know what? When I take care of me, I can be more effective at taking care of you. When I take care of me, I can be a better mother, I can be a better wife, I can be a better sister, I can be a better friend, I can be a better coach, I can be a better pastor, I can be a better speaker, I can be better at being me when I'm taking time to take care of me. When I'm taking time and scheduling in some time for looking after me. And I think that's how I would describe self-care. Yes, it's caring for yourself. Yeah, it's caring for yourself, but really it's being intentional because we all do things that are self-care related. We don't realize that we're doing that. But for example, when you read a book, that's part of self-care. That's a self-care activity. When you do your nails, your manicure, your pedicure, trying to look good, that's part of self-care. So sometimes we don't necessarily define it as self-care. We don't say, oh, I'm doing some self-care activity right now, but that doesn't mean it's not self-care. So one of the things that I talk about when I run workshops in the community is we talk about how I try and start by breaking some myths on self-care.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I say, self-care is not
Selfish.
it's not selfish. Self-care is not for specific people because sometimes we think because I'm not from a certain background, I cannot do self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Deborah Franklin. Thank you for joining us. Absolutely. Taking a nap. That's self-care. Honestly, going to bed on time is self care. So, self care doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't. Because sometimes that's what we think. We think it's costly. We think, oh, I have to go to a spa to be doing self care. But it doesn't have to be that. I say a lot of times nowadays that I like going for a cup of tea, going out for a cup of tea, go to a cafe and have a cup of tea. Do you know that is part of self care? Because I go and I have a nice relaxing time. Taking a walk in the park is part of self-care. Eating healthy is part of self-care. Meditating, doing your daily routines, it's part of self-care.
Reflection is self-care.
It is. It is part of self-care. And it's just one of those things that you have to be intentional in doing the self-care. On International Women's Day, I was in a room full of women who got to share their stories of some of the things that they had been through, some really like touching and heartbreaking stories of what they had been through. And I say to these ladies, you have to take time to look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, what are you pouring into your children? If you don't look after yourself, what are you pouring into your community? Because as women, we are naturals. We're naturals and we like to look after this, look after that, make sure everyone's okay. But who's making sure you're okay? And sometimes we are waiting for someone to give us permission. That's the thing I absolutely hate. You don't need to wait for somebody to give you permission for you to practice some self-care. Take a 5-minute stroll. Go outside and just get some air for 5 minutes. Self-care.
Elizabeth, one of the description of self-care is self-preservation. And I like that word, self-preservation, because you need to be mindful about how your body, mind, and soul is all in tune, all in sync. And that's something that we tend to forget. Body, mind, and spirit has to be in sync for us to have preserve ourselves, to look our best for ourselves, feel best ourselves, and then reaching out to others to help them, or to be that most effective person, or being that point of contact, that touch the other person needs, like our children, like our husband. If we are in a state of clamor and confusion, how are we going to care for our family?
There you go.
So, yes, women are so overwhelmed with different hats, different roles that they play. And I mean, I really admire mothers who have jobs, who run a family, who have children, and wearing different hats, different roles. But yet, they stand up strong, and they stand up empowering themselves and then empowering others. So for all those mothers who are out there, we want to celebrate you and say thank you. Thank you for being that celebrity in your family, because you take care of yourself and you take care of others. So self-preservation is very, very vital, and it has to start from you. And as Elizabeth said, you don't have to ask permission from anyone. If you need to soak in the bath, go ahead. Lock that bathroom and put on some music, burn some candles, and just relax. This is your me time.
That's it.
And collect your thoughts. Reflect on the day's activities, or reflect on that week's activities, but reflecting in a place of serenity in your own bathtub.
There you go. Having a bath is part of self-care. Like, honestly, you don't have to look far to think of things that you can do to practice self-care. But you have to be intentional in practicing self-care. You have to make it an intentional part of your daily routine. So don't wait for somebody to say, yes, you can now have your 1 hour of looking after yourself. No, find time to just look after you. And when we talked about reflection last week, that's part of self-care. It's taking time to slow down. It's taking time to reflect on life, reflect on where you are, where you want to be, things like that. That's all part of self-care. And honestly, don't let anyone tell you that you're being selfish because you're practicing self-care. You can practice self-care without being selfish, because self-care is looking after you. It's making sure that I'm okay. It's making sure that I'm not running on empty. It's making sure that I'm filling up my cup so I can be able to pour out into others. So make self-care a priority. If it's not something that you are already practicing, make self-care a priority. It's going to be important at any stage you're at in your life. You need to make sure that you are taking time out to look after yourself. You need to make sure that you are doing the best that you can be to look after you. You need to make sure that you're scheduling in time to look after yourself. You're scheduling in time to do things that make you happy. You're scheduling in time to do things that bring joy, bring happiness to you, things that put a smile on your face, because you know what? Self-care is good for your well-being. It's good for your well-being. So don't ignore it. You need to do it.
So, well being in your mind, in your body, and in your soul. And when I say mind, these recent years with COVID and shutdown, a lot of men and women have gone through depression
Mm,
and mental illness and so many things that people have endured during this lockdown. So, one of the things that the government did speak about is going out and enjoying a time in the park, walking, enjoying the fresh air. And you know what? During COVID, one of the best things that happened was we had wonderful summer. We had sunshine throughout the whole summer, which was very unusual for this country. But lots of people did go out and they enjoyed the sun. But there were lots of people who were struggling alone at home because they didn't have human contact, and that
mm,
affected their minds, that affected their souls because there was no human interaction. So self-care is also about connecting with people, good, influential, good spheres of influence that you would have to build you up, to perk you up, to to be that person who will say, "Hey, come on, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a drink. Let's have a cup of tea together. Let's
mhm,
connect." Yes, lots of us connected with Zoom, but there was no human interaction, the touch, the hug, the maybe a kiss on the cheek. But when there is a human interaction, it boosts up the morals and it boosts up their soul. And that is also self-care, because that interactive part brings a connection. So for those who, we lost many people during COVID, and people who died broken-hearted at home, some of the elderlies, when there was no connection. I really am very, very sorry that, but now we are out of this uh, difficulty. We have to embrace ourselves and say we have to be resilient
mm.
and embracing self-care.
Wow. You touched on something that I think is so important for us to reflect on. And well-being became a very, very
Crucial.
important topic
Mm, mm, mm,
during lockdown.
mm,
And even following lockdown, I think it's still a very important topic today.
mm-hmm,
But you will notice today a lot more people are intentional and conscious about it
mm-hmm,
because it was talked about a lot as a result of what we went through in the lockdown.
mm-hmm.
And sometimes we leave self-care for important occasions, but it doesn't have to be an important occasion for you to look after you. You are important enough. You are important enough. If you are important, if you matter, then self-care is important to you. One of the mantras I like to get my workshop participants to say when we're doing self-care is, I tell them that self-care is important and I ask the question, why do you think self-care is important? And for me, the reason is because you are important. You are, that's the number one reason. Self-care is important because I am important. Self-care is important because you are important. So if you want to exercise, you want to practice some self-care, but there's things getting in the way. Are you important? Are those things more important than your well-being? Are they more important than your health? And when we talk about self-care, there's different things we have to consider. We consider financial aspect, spiritual aspect, mental, emotional, all those little compartments of our lives, the different compartments that make us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are you exercising self care emotionally? How are you exercising self care mentally, financially? For example, mentally, are you doing things that help your mind to stay active? Are you doing things that, like personal development related things, or reading a book, or watching something that engages your mind? Emotional, how is your emotional well being? Are you looking after yourself?
Or are you constantly stressed out? Stress.
Especially some of us that like to say that we're always busy. Busy doing what? Take a moment to look after yourself in the busyness of life. Take a moment to look after yourself. And one thing that you can do is just and I ask people to do this in my workshops, is put together like a 30-day challenge for yourself. You can print something off Canva, and it's basically 30 days. What can I do every day to exercise self-care, to practice self-care?
Yeah.
And it could be going for a half an hour walk, doing some exercise, drinking more water. And yes, all these things should be part of who we are anyway, because we need to look after ourselves on a daily basis. Don't wait for a special occasion to look after yourself. You are special enough. Don't wait for Mother's Day before you practice self-care. Don't wait for your birthday before you practice self-care. Don't wait for Valentine's Day before you practice self-care in your relationship. No.
Don't wait till you land up in hospital to take care of yourself. And that's a dangerous place to be.
That's it. That's it. Because we have to realize that at the end of the day, we've got flesh at the end of the day. And this flesh needs looking after. You can't ignore yourself and expect to thrive in life. You are a priority too. So make yourself a priority. When you start to make yourself a priority, and part of that involves valuing who you are, valuing what you carry, when you start to make yourself a priority, then self-care will come easily. Being intentional with your self-care will come easily to you. If you realize that what I carry is so important, a generation needs it, you start to value and to look after what you are carrying.
So, would you say that how do you interject self-care in your daily life? Is a planner good in the sense putting everything every day you plan your day and interject self-care in between 10-15 minutes just to have a reminder, or just reminder on your phone? Do you think it's a good idea, Elizabeth?
It's a good idea. I mean, become intentional, make it a habit, make self care a habit. So find a self care activity that you can do, that you can make part of your daily routine. So if it's exercise, how often during the week can you do exercise? Schedule that in. If it's reading a book, even listening to a podcast is part of self care. Even I'm gonna say this, even just putting on, a tune on YouTube and just dancing along 5 minutes, 5 minutes of dance time. That's part of self care. That's looking after you because it makes
Dopamine,
you happy.
releasing dopamine and adrenaline. Why not? Makes you happy. Be a happy person.
There you go. There you go. Find things that you can schedule into your day that are not necessarily about somebody else, but about you, about growing you, about nurturing you, about looking after you. Because when you grow, you are more effective.
I think lots of mums, stay home mums, I think sometimes they feel guilty. That's, do you think so? Because I mean, I don't have children. So my time, I have a big baby. That's it. But I think I'm just thinking out aloud. It might not be, you being a mom, you run your own business, and you have a active child and a husband. So how do you interject self-care in your daily life?
So it's up to you how you define self care. Because one thing that we need to realize is that self care is not the same for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What might relax you might not be what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to find what works for me. So make it part of your routine. One of the things that we do in the morning, is when we're taking Janaya to nursery, we walk to nursery. And that's about 25 minutes walk. That's good exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it seems like it's we're just walking to nursery, but there's more to it. There's more to it. We're not in the hustle and bustle of everything. We're having a relaxed walk. It's good for our bodies, it's good for our well-being, it's good for our minds. We're out in the clean air of London. We get to go across the bridge, we get to see scenery, we get to see some flowers along the way. It's part of it. It's better than going on a bus for 5-10 minutes. So finding slots in your day where you can do something that's about filling you up. So healthy eating some fruits, drinking water, making sure you're eating well. That's part of your self-care. So you don't have to think far. You don't have to think far. It doesn't have to be deep. This self-care thing doesn't have to be deep. It can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. I was away over the weekend for a long weekend. It was a couple of days, but it was nice to just go get some sun, take some nice pictures, be in a relaxed environment, a different environment. Because getting out into a different environment, it helps you as well.
That's right.
Going out to the park for a walk, it can clear your mind. All those worries that are consuming you can fade away, because you're doing some bit of self-care.
It's interesting what you said about it clears your mind. One of the things that I personally do is after lunch, if I'm not out and about, after lunch every day, I try to go for a walk, because you're eaten, and then you just want to kind of move around a bit. We don't want the bulges to come even though it's there. You're just working it out. So so I usually go out after lunch, maybe around 2:30, for just about 45 minutes walk. And one of the things that makes me very happy is, uh, which is, I think it's part of my self-care regime, is walk, of course. And seeing people on the streets and saying hello, how's your day, or just greeting some, sometimes the elderlies like to go out for a walk, and that makes me very happy, saying hello, how are you doing today? Are you enjoying your walk? Are you going to the park? Just striking up conversations makes me happy.
Mhm.
And I feel that's part of, I'm enhancing my well-being, because you're constantly with your partner in the house. You want to do something different, and 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 just talking to people on the street, and telling them, especially at that point in time, you see a lot of vans delivering stuff. Uh, what's that? Amazon. Then you have a DP. Is it DP? Sorry,
DPD.
DPD, and then you have HelloFresh delivering, and I've got lots of people delivering on my street, and I'm saying hello, thank you for this fine job you're doing. If they come here, even if it's at my door, I say, "Would you like a cup of tea?" They'll think that this woman is mad, because they are against the clock. So I'm
Mhm.
always offering them, "Would you like a cup of tea?" "No, ma'am, I'm fine. Thank you." And they go off. But that makes me happy, because you know what? I have touched someone's life.
Mm. So that's it. It doesn't have to be some, big things that you do. It's in the little things.
Mm-hmm.
Taking time to journal,
Mm-hmm.
that's part of self-care. That's part of self-care. If you're a creative person, like sitting down to do some creative stuff, that helps you.
Paint.
Lighting candles sometimes. Yeah, knitting. Lighting candles sometimes, and just being in an environment that allows you to just,
Slow down, relax.
yeah. That's you exercising an element of self-care. There's a social aspect to it, like Kirabai was talking about, being able to interact with people, go out and just say hello. There's a social aspect to self-care.
Mm.
No man is an island, no woman is an island. We don't just function on our own
Mhm.
without other people. Part of our nature requires us to be able to engage
Connect.
people around us,
Mm.
connect with the people around us.
Mm.
So don't try to be on your own, do everything on your own. Connect with somebody next door, connect with somebody across the road, somebody that you just bump into on the street. Connect with somebody.
You know, when you're talking about connecting with your neighbors, I must say that, we kind of moved here already 10 years, and just down the street, two doors away, we have been trying to connect with this person for 10 years, but he has never relented, always very standoffish. But I do not know what happened. Lo and behold, now he says hello to my husband. I was shocked, horror. I said, saying hello, and something changed within him. And I'm very happy that, because we never stopped. We saw him, we said hello, good morning or good afternoon, but he never responded. But suddenly he's responding. Sometimes, probably that was the only thing that he could have heard every day, somebody responding, and responding to, I mean, with him standing there very blur. But we always said hello. But you know
Mm.
what? Finally, we have broke the ice, and now my husband Robert has a cordial chat with him, which I think it's good for his mental health. It's also exciting us, because finally we've had a breakthrough.
Mm. Do you know what? And that's it. You don't realize how many people you you can impact
Mm-hmm.
just by you putting yourself in that more relaxed state.
Mm-hmm.
Today, talking about neighbors, today I had a coffee with one of my neighbors.
Oh, lovely.
And we've connected over time, and interestingly enough, she'll see some of the things I'm doing, because we've swapped numbers, and so she'll see my WhatsApp story. So she always says to me, she says, just seeing what you're doing is inspiring me. So me doing some self-care stuff and posting on my story is actually inspiring her. So you don't know who you can impact along the way. You don't know who is watching. But self-care is it's really about you.
You.
It's looking after you so you can be more effective in looking after others. It's making you a priority so you can impact others, so you can better impact others. It's filling up your cup so you have something to pour out to the people around you. Self care is important because you are important. If that's something you live with, it's important because you are important. And we need to kind of um bridge this between self care and confidence, because we mentioned self care, confidence. Self care can help boost your confidence, because when you're looking after yourself, there's a feel good factor that comes with it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're more confident to present yourself. You're more confident to go out there and do the things that you need to do. And somehow we don't necessarily realize it as it's happening. But like when I invest in myself, because self-care involves some sort of investment in yourself, right? So when I invest in myself, whether it's self-care could even be me going and buying myself something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that every day, but once in a while you could say, oh, there's this little thing that I've seen that I really like, I'll just go get it. If you have the capability to do, go do. Self-care and being able to do little things like that, it can help boost your confidence. So we talked about how the dopamine levels, it can increase your dopamine levels. When you go out for a spa, look at most people when they come out of a spa, they're not all shy and they're like, yeah, just had a spa, they've had a manicure, pedicure, and they're all so excited. You can even see the lift in the spring in their step, the
Yes.
lift on their face. It's helping with their confidence. Part of self-care involves even affirming yourself. Affirmations. So these little things, it's little things that can all add up to make you a well-balanced human being. So don't ignore them. Schedule them in. Find time to do these little things that involve looking after you, because you're important.
Very, very important. Priority. Priority. You are priority. And that's
Don't wait for other people
mm,
to push you to do self-care. You go out and do it.
mm. And also having when you care for yourself, you also have the right boundaries. You put those right boundaries, you know, because there could be people, especially with children, they always want to cling on to mama. Sometimes you need to place those boundaries. And even with your spouse or partners, you need to put the boundaries. Even with the spheres of influence, you need to put those boundaries, because you need to protect yourself from
Mm.
something that are not right. Don't let people walk all over you. And that's self-care. Don't take any crap, I must use this word, from people or anyone else, because that you put boundaries to yourself.
Mm.
Sometimes it can come through family, sometimes can come through friends, sometimes it can come through your colleagues, your bosses. You know what? I know people get bullied in the office, bullied in school. You know what? You got to put that boundaries, and that is
Mm.
caring for yourself. This is serious. We don't want you to be bullied. Stand up for yourself and put those boundaries in place.
There you go. You had it from Coach K. Go and put those boundaries in place, because yes, you're looking after yourself mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, relationally,
Mhm.
every aspect of who you are. But if I guess if we were to share some tips, Kirubai,
Mm.
on how, like, if there's someone out there saying I'm so busy. So we talked about reflection last time, and we mentioned how, we should make time for it. I remember someone came on and they said they're too busy, they don't have time to even just stop, pause and reflect. So if someone is in that state where, yes, they're so busy, and you mentioned it, you're a mom, you're this, you're that, how how do you find time to look after you, or how can you enforce that time?
Okay, I'm going to be very honest with you. Let's take a scenario of a family. There's mom and dad, and then there's two children, and mom is a working mom. I'm bringing this scenario because this is something that one of my friends does. So she's a stay-home mom, and her hands are full. She's got a toddler, she's got a child who goes to school. So timetable wise, it is all very different. I mean, toddlers need different attention. Uh, a child going to school needs different attention. So Monday to Friday, she's full on. She's full on. But Saturday is her off day. And that off day is self-care day, where she does everything for herself, going out with friends, connecting with she loves painting. So she joined a painting club, and then she does goes and does her hair, maybe even a facial. But Saturday, a full day, is for herself. Initially, she found it very guilty. She found it guilty. I think a lot of moms go through that, the guilt trip. But you know what? Slowly she overcame it. And she said, after that one day of maybe from morning 11 right up to 5 or 6, having her time for herself and leaving the children with the dad, and it kind of built the dad's relationship with the children, and
Mhm.
she felt good. So when they came back as a unit, there was harmony, there was peace, there was such a bond of love, and she does it every Saturday without fail. So sometimes absence make the heart go fonder with the children, and she comes back home a very happy person, because I was she was relating this to me some time ago, and I thought I'll share this example. And it's a happy unit now. So dad is happy, does all those fun things out in the park or whatever, just keep the children busy, and by the time he brings them home, they are beat, they're tired. And then husband and wife can have a good time together, a glass of wine, maybe have a meal together or a takeaway, relax, and then again back to the grind on a Sunday morning, you know. So I think that's an ideal situation, Elizabeth.
It's interesting you use that example. I remember in one of my sessions, somebody said Saturday is her cinema day. and she goes by herself. She has, I think, 2 or 3 kids.
Mhm.
And she say, Saturday I go to the cinema by myself. That's a thing for her. That's part of her self-care. She
Mhm.
goes by herself. In fact, she avoids taking anybody as much as possible. She avoids taking herself. She just knows Saturday morning, 10 a.m., I'm in the cinema. And that's what she does. So it's finding that time in the busyness of your schedule to do things that are really about looking after you. For some people, we talked about boundaries. For some people, boundaries look like, after a certain hour, I'm not going to respond to messages on my phone.
Yes, good one.
Or having a no social media day.
Mhm.
That's good for your well-being.
Mm.
It's not everything you have to respond to immediately. You don't have to, especially if there's some things that make you anxious or apprehensive. You can just kind of leave it, and when you're in a better place, go and respond to it. But part of self-care is about getting to know yourself a bit more. Remember, it's self-care. So you need to know how to care for yourself. What's the best way to care for yourself? Because Kirubai self-care and my self-care will be totally different. So don't try and say, because so-and-so enjoys this and I enjoy that, then do what works for you. And yes, sometimes you will find that you and your sister enjoy doing something together. Yes, that's fine. But what works for her might not work for you every single time. And because our schedules are also so different, the things that relax me might not be what relaxes you. For some, yes, going to the cinema to watch something, it works. But for some people, watching a movie might make them anxious. I don't know. Especially depending on what movie they're watching.
Mhm. True.
For some people, going home to just a relaxed environment, it works. But some people like the hustle and bustle and business and the kids running around, just hearing the voices of the kids. For some people, that's it.
I'm done.
Being able to come into that environment, maybe not constantly, but just being able to pop in and out of that environment. Grandparents love it. They love having the kids around.
Oh dear.
So
Yeah, what
it's
works for me
finding
might not work for you. Yeah. That's true. That's so
finding
true.
what works for you.
Mm.
Remember, it's self-care. Self care. It's important because you're important. And on that note, I think that's me done. That's me done today. Kirubai, do you have any final words?
No, I think you have done very well, bringing it to a nice close.
Awesome. So just as we close, Kingdompreneurs Summit.
Yes, please.
Let's not forget that it is coming up in June, and we are not so far away anymore. Time is running. The clocks are
Ticking.
ticking. The clocks are ticking. We are already in the month of April. So hey, you better get your ticket. The Kingdompreneurs Summit 2023, themed advance. It's happening June 17th in London. So I encourage you, if you're in and around the London area, don't miss it. If you are from outside of London, outside of the UK, but you want to be a part of it, hey, why not? Make it a holiday. Make it a weekend away, a week away in London. Come see some sights, and enjoy the conference along the way, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and buy a ticket for yourself, for a friend, for a brother, for a sister, especially those who are in business, those who are interested in business, those who would like to make impact in the marketplace. The Kingdompreneurs Summit is for you. So don't miss it. Don't miss it. Get your ticket before the ticket prices go up. Get your ticket. I'll share the link, and you can click on the link and just get some more information and register too, and send the link to a friend. Send the link to a friend and say, I think it would be great for both of us to go to this. Why not? We've had some people buy tickets that way. One of them bought a ticket, sent it to her friend, and said, "Yeah, we're going together. Buy your ticket." So don't come on your own. Bring a friend and encourage a friend to come. We would love to have you. We would love to host you at the summit. So that's enough from me. And this could be part of your self-care.
Meeting people, coming and meeting us there,
Exactly. Or what you could even do is book a weekend away, spend it in the hotel. I think they have some spa facilities, so you could factor that into your booking. So you could have the conference, enjoy some relaxing time, and then go back home. Yes, why not?
Some lovely restaurants around that area, lovely sites, beautiful park. You can do so many things in High Street, Kensington. Lovely shops, cafes, food. Oh,
what a lovely... You guys getting me excited already.
Yeah, lovely place. I mean, it's a lovely hotel, excellent service, and we're going to meet and greet all of you. Come expectant, and it's good. You will not be disappointed.
I love that. You will not be. Trust me, you will not be. Right. So thank you so much for joining us today for episode 30 of Confidence Culture Conversations. Honestly, you deserve to be applauded for joining us today. We will, I think, be back next week, but we're going to be taking some time out soon. As some of us travel away to do some self-care.
Much needed.
as we go and exercise some much needed self-care. But we will let you know what dates we're going to be taking a break. It almost seems like number 30 is a good place to take a break, but we'll have those conversations and we'll let you know. But thank you so much. Please like, share, subscribe, share this video with somebody who just needs to be encouraged to look after themselves because they are important. Thank you once again. Good night, good afternoon, good morning. I don't know, depending where you're watching this from. If you're watching the replay, just comment and put hashtag replay. Would love to hear from you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.